Hello everybody, hope that you're good. It's happening. Bitcoin is finally doing it, okay? We've been talking for the past 2 weeks about the idea of a deviation here, above the range high. It happened, that's your deviation, okay? Our conference was all these long candles here at the highs, okay? And then price reversing very quickly to the downside. Also, this high here created a lot of liquidations and stop losses in this zone between 31,700 and 31,800. Perfectly touched that zone, so I'm very happy for that. You had a deviation. Then if you go into the lower time frame, okay, you can see here how they consolidated, okay, on the resistance. That's a short trigger. I took my short from 31,400. It's currently still running, although I took some profits, okay, so it is not the full margin. Then you had the drop. You go back to the range lows here. We've been talking this week about this, okay? Bitcoin couldn't go higher for the simple reason that the dollar index was bouncing off. So remember that Bitcoin trades against the dollar. So when the dollar goes up, Bitcoin cannot go up. Okay, in the best case scenario, it's gonna hold or usually dumps. Okay, in this case, it was holding. So that was telling me that Bitcoin didn't want to go down straight away. So they was likely to see shorter squeeze during the weekend. Okay. Then yesterday in the Sunday update, I posted this projection, okay, that it was, let me get the 4-hour 50 MA. It was a push over the weekend, then come and retrace, and retest the 4-hour 50 MA support, maybe another spike to this zone, okay, right above the mid-range as a deviation. Could you have here these two resistances, okay? And then, on Tuesday, I think in Tuesday, tomorrow, we're not going to see much going on. I think they're going to hold price and then drop on Wednesday with the FOMC meeting and a new hike of 25 basis points, okay? But that didn't really happen, okay? Because instead, what they did was dump from here. So we're going to talk about it now. We're going to try to make some sense of this move, okay? But as we were anticipating, once they've taken the liquidity at the highs, I don't see much reason to go higher. What it makes more sense, if they're taking the liquidity from one of the ends of the range, usually they're gonna go for the next one, okay? For the next end of the range. And I mean, yes, we can talk about the possibility of deviation here and get back inside the range, okay? That could happen, but we're gonna look at the dollar index. We're gonna talk about the FOMC meeting, and also when you're in a range and you see deviation in one of the ends of the range, you usually see a breakout in the other end, okay? And that's what we've been talking about. Why? Because you have here some liquidity pools, okay? Check out these imbalances, these large green candles. They are probably gonna get retraced sooner or later, okay? Then you have here this potential support that we marked. Okay, you can see here that was resistance, and this could be a potential support zone. The price could hold or even deviate, get back inside, and then you can long again to the range lows, 29,500. Okay, that could be a long setup if we get that. But for now, I'm not gonna look really into that. Okay, I'm just playing what the market is giving me, and the swing short is still playing from here. I'm only looking for scalps and day trades in this zone, okay? But I'm favoring this support, this level here to get hit over the next, this week or next week. But let's see what happens. Now, let's go into the 1 hour time frame. Let's try to figure out what's going on here. This is very interesting because you've got here the weekend fake pump. Then, if we notice, Asia dumped, continue dumping, and then here London carried on with dumping. Now, what can we expect New York to do today? Well, if I look at this, the first thing that I notice is that, they're pushing price down with aggressivity. We are now below the range lows, but this green candle here, after this aggressive move, it's quite interesting, okay? And if we check the volume of this green candle, you can see that it almost has as much volume as the red candle. So that means that here there is quite a lot of interest to push price back up, okay, or not continue going low, at least for now. So in principle, what I'm expecting is, I think, this is a potential liquidity pool here too, because this is a $200 candle. So we could see, Bitcoin recovering this green candle, and then from here, I think we could see a little push, to be honest, okay? I think we could see a little push here. I don't know if the deviation case could happen, but I'm not looking at that yet, okay? I think that tomorrow, Tuesday, the market is gonna be boring, to be honest. Usually when we are one day away from news announcements, the market prefers to wait and hold and wait for the news. So that's why I'm expecting that, this could happen. This is a scenario that could happen over today. You could see maybe this green candle recovering, then a push, and then here on the resistance you could see consolidation tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, if they announce another hike of 25 basis points, which I think they're trying to price in now, but if you got that plus Jerome Powell with a hawkish tone, then that could bring price low, okay? If it, for example, says that, yeah, we're thinking about doing another interest rate hike in the coming months, then, Bitcoin is going to go lower, and of course the dollar index, we're going to go to the dollar index now, it's going to bounce from here, okay? Let me remove all of this. All right, 4-hour time frame. We've been talking about this idea. Let me show you, okay? Deviation below the level 100, because that's very psychological if you go to 99. Then recover that level. This bounce from the dollar index is basically because, they are trying to anticipate to the next FOMC meeting, okay? To the next 25 basis points hike, okay? That's why it's pumping now, all right? Now, if you go into the 4-hour time frame, you can see something interesting, and is that this candle from today, it tested this level as support, okay? So that could give you the idea that the dollar index is probably set for continuation to the upside. Again, it's likely that we might see the dollar index holding here between today and tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, 25 basis points and a hawkish Jerome Powell, it could continue going higher. Also, you have here another liquidity pool, okay, 102.60. All right, so be mindful with the dollar index. That's why I cannot be really bullish on Bitcoin here, and I've been warning you that the most likely outcome was Bitcoin breaking to the downside of the range. Also, another thing here I've just noticed, you got here a gap in price in the DXY. This is gonna get filled, okay? That's at 100.20. That gap is gonna get filled at some point, probably this week, to be honest with you. We're gonna go now into high block capital. We're gonna check out what's going on with the liquidations. I think these just staking are very interesting soon, so let's go there. While in high block capital, let's check out those liquidation heat maps. In the 12 hours time frame, I don't really see much going on, to be honest, so I'm gonna skip this one. Let's go for the 7 days time frame. Okay, let's check this out. Not really much going on. Okay, I can see that we were between two liquidation zone, 31k, and of course 29,300. And now, to be honest, there is still quite a lot more liquidity at 28,800 and 28,700. Okay, they might take this liquidity later in the week, but what I want to see is this 1 month time frame. Check out this. Look what is going on here. You see all those liquidations here? They've just hit them. These are basically longs getting liquidated. It's a sad story, but this is how the market works, okay? They're gonna move price in order to stop traders, to liquidate traders, because that's money for the market, okay? They are fees. They are literally limit orders. They get fees from them, okay? So that's why the market try to go to the stop losses and, of course, to the liquidation level. So that's a sad story, but you can see 29,300, 29,200, 29,100. Those liquidations have been hit. Now, if we go, let's get again the 1 month time frame. You can see in this chart that if you notice what is the liquidity, well, it is still favoring lower prices. Check out 24,300. But if you go to the 3 months time frame, you can even see this even clearer. Check this out. Look at that. Look at all those liquidations at 24,200. So this could tell you a different story, okay? Of course, we're going to go now into the chart, but what I can see here is that first, we have to see if we can hold here this potential support at 28,400. That was also a range, if you notice here. And yet we're going to go now into the chart and I'm going to show you. But if you lose this zone, 28,400, you are probably going to go to the range lows, which are around 25k, and that leaves you pretty close, only 1k away from this liquidation zone. So for now, I'm going to favor still lower prices. I'm going to take you now back to the chart. I'm going to basically do a little recap of what I'm expecting price to do between today and tomorrow, and also on Wednesday, and how we can trade this price action. I believe that you are now with me. So let me show you what I mean, okay? I think that this was essentially some kind of a range. Let me mark it for you. I believe that this was some kind of a range. Here you go, that's a range. Here you got the deviation, and then price, if you notice, breaks out to the other end of the range. Pretty much what is going on here. You got a range here. You got the deviation above the range, and then the breakout at the other end of the range. That's what I can see. Pretty much the same, guys, but in the opposite direction. Now, if price takes another drop and goes to this support, then here we got several scenarios, okay? The first one would be a deviation, then get back inside this zone, hold here, consolidate above support, and that could be a long trigger, again, to this level over here, 29,500. But the other scenario is if you drop here, then consolidate on the resistance, then price is probably going to move lower to the range lows and fall back inside this range to 25,850. But then you have to worry about, because in this one here, there is quite a lot of liquidations. So Bitcoin is not looking the best at the moment. Again, could this be another deviation? Could be. But guys, with the FOMC coming, with a strong dollar index, you just seen that they've even tested that level of support. I think the dollar is probably going to go higher. And Bitcoin is going to have a problem with that. So that's why I cannot really be bullish in Bitcoin. I'm believing, like in this case, that this was a deviation. Okay, I don't believe that. Could be. Again, I might be wrong with this, but I don't, by looking at the context, I don't believe that this is going to happen. But if it does, then I want to see consolidation above support here, and this will be another long trigger to the mid-range. But again, I'm not seeing that very likely. Instead, if I go to the 1 hour time frame, what I can see is that this green candle is quite powerful, but it's also a liquidity pool. So I'm expecting price to recover this green candle. Then from here we could see a bounce today, and then over tomorrow maybe some consolidation here on the resistance, and then on Wednesday with a new 25 basis point hike and a hawkish Jerome Powell, they can set price lower. That's what I think that is more likely to happen at this point. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say today. Also, I'm thinking of doing a new altcoin market update, because I saw some guys talking in the Telegram yesterday, 2 days ago, sorry, about the Bitcoin dominance, about where to buy the altcoins, and I have an opinion, okay? I have an opinion. I might share it with you guys. So I'm thinking of making that video soon, maybe this week. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.